There is a thick fog of propaganda surrounding the Ukraine war, the invasion of Ukraine. And this makes it difficult for us, as it does for the Russians, to try to figure out what actually is going on. On the Russian side, it turns out that the Russian media, controlled by Putin, is putting out all kinds of fabrications about the Ukraine. In fact, they are essentially portraying this war in very much the manner that Stalin portrayed the Second World War, as kind of a war against fascism. In fact, a war against European fascism. And Stalin, from Stalin's point of view, communism was nothing more than an anti-fascist ideology. I mean, think of how deceitful this is. Communism and fascism came out of the same socialist root. But nevertheless, Stalin was able to mobilize kind of national feeling, Mother Russia. And Putin, it's amazing how the playbook is kind of the same. Now, if all of that seems utterly deceitful, the question we have to ask is, are we getting the same kind of propaganda? By which I mean, we're not having what normally occurs in America and in the West in these situations, which is multiple points of view, arguments that go back and forth. I mentioned one by John Mearsheimer, the realist scholar, a very distinguished scholar of international affairs, who makes the point that the West sort of provoked this a little bit, not provoked Putin's appetite for aggression, that was there already, but in a sense gave Ukraine the idea that it would be kind of fun and that that the West would be right behind them in poking the Russian bear. And of course, the Russian bear is a lot bigger than the Ukrainian lamb, if you will. And so Putin goes, okay, I'll show you. I don't want to have some little aggressive little dog biting my heels. And so I'm going to swat you down. And this is what Mearsheimer predicted, I think in 2015, 6 years ago. This is going to happen if we keep puffing up the Ukraine in this way. And this is, in fact, what happened. So if anything, Mearsheimer is proven right. But this is a guy who has been almost pushed out of the public discourse because why? Because essentially we're getting a single template. And that's the thing that worries me the most when you get a single template. What is the story leaving out? Now, here's Biden at the State of the Union. We're going to take a tough stance. Let's go get him. And that kind of stuff. But I say to myself, wait a minute. If you're serious, if you think that Putin is really trying to restore the Soviet Empire, Putin is this monstrous warmonger, here's my question. Why is the United States buying from Russia right now 600,000 barrels of oil per day? If you're doing that, then it doesn't matter if some bar pours out the Russian vodka. It doesn't matter if somebody goes, some campus. I actually read this. We're not going to be reading Dostoevsky because, he was Russian. So this kind of stupidity, this kind of idiot symbolism, when here we are transferring dollars and subsidizing the Russian economy, money that basically goes straight to Putin for his own use. So you can't do that and pretend to be serious about what's going on in the Ukraine. Now, Reagan, flashing back a couple of decades, was very much of an idealist, very much understood that this was a moral struggle with the Soviet Union. But Reagan was also always immensely pragmatic. Reagan always understood that the world moves according to the motors of power politics. I remember going back to the 1970s, someone had come up to Reagan and said, in the Israel-Palestine conflict, the PLO, the Palestine Liberation Organization, is constantly lying. They're claiming every day that they shot down 10 Israeli jets. And they're just making this up. And what do we do about this? And Reagan's answer was very crafty. Think of the wisdom of this. Reagan goes, well, you know what? Why don't we just make an announcement that we will replace not the actual amount of Israeli jets shot down by the Palestinians, but the number they say they shot down. So think about that. That's going to make them we shot down 20 jets. Oh, wait, the Israelis are going to get 20 more. So suddenly the incentive to put out these lies diminishes. Why? Because you've thought of a very clever way to check it. So we need that kind of thinking, and how far we are from having that kind of leadership. I read articles now. These are written by people who supposedly have foreign policy credentials. Oh, the ruble is collapsing. The ruble is down 20%. The ruble is down 20%. So what? We're talking about the exchange rate between the ruble and the dollar. It doesn't mean that purchasing power inside of Russia is down 20%. It doesn't mean that Putin is affected in any meaningful way by something like this. It certainly doesn't follow that a 20% adjustment, devaluation of the ruble is going to lead to the collapse of the Russian economy. This is a country that is selling oil left and right, and the high price of oil, thank you, Mr. Biden, is only benefiting Putin. He's benefiting from the fact that we're buying the oil. He's benefiting from the high price of oil. And so he's not going to care about symbolic steps. He's going to respond to real efforts to block what he's doing. And so this is a dangerous situation. I think what Putin is doing is not so much trying to reconstitute the Soviet Union as it was before, but to create a kind of new axis of evil. Essentially, you can call it the Islamo-Sino-Chinese Russian axis to counter the power of the Western world.